What's going on, guys? This is Miasin, and welcome to OCG Metagame Breakdown number 4. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is one of the craziest and most interesting breakdowns I've read in a while, and the reason for that is because there's a new set, which is Duelist Nexus, that changed things up quite a bit, and in case you kind of forgot what it was, basically the new Illusionist, Altergeist, Infernoble, Unchained, and some more support for other stuff, but most importantly, Mathmech is now better than ever, and Purely is no longer that great. Because as you can see in the previous breakdown, Purely was, okay, if this can load, 20.5%, which is double the representation of Kashtira, which only has, well, only had the 18, but now it's, it's definitely not as good, with only 5 top cut representation. So Kashtira definitely got way worse, and Mathmech, out of nowhere, is, you know, top tier, which is crazy. But yeah, anyways, before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe. You already know the drill. Thank you guys so much, and now let's get right into it. Okay, so first things first, this report covers 111 top performing decks, so it's not just like any deck that people choose to play from 22 tournaments during the span of 2 days, and again, including Duelist Nexus, which is, you know, a really decent set, a lot of good cards that, I mean, I could make like a full video on this if you guys are interested, but we're still like, you know, kind of far from that, because right now we're still just getting Cyberstorm access in the TCG, so yeah, if you're watching this in the OCG, then my bad, I guess I'm not really gonna be delivering content anytime soon. Anyways, best deck Purely, second best deck Mathmech. The most popular discard outlet engine for Purely is actually Bridge of Salvation with the Cobalt Eagle, so that they can search their field spell, which is Stray Street, so that they can play around Valor and Imperm. These cards are actually losing in popularity a little bit, and that's the reason why DD Crow is actually being a little more popular. They can search Secret Village post game 1, but this is also losing in popularity. Dark World and Shadal as the discards are pretty good, and the TCG, I think this is more popular than the Bridge of Salvation, but in the OCG that is not the case. And then second best deck is Mathmech. They got a new Link 5. I think that's the Link 5 that's new, and the Fusion Monster is definitely insane. It's not a card that you're summoning, but you're actually sending it from extra deck to the graveyard. Very similarly to Despia, how they're always sending, you know, Albion and stuff like that so that they can get like effects in the grave. The Fusion Monster is basically like a spell or trap negate, and then they can send Mirologic Aggregator in order to like negate another card on the opponent's turn. So it's just really nasty. Like, I'm gonna explain later on, but this is, some people are actually main decking the Code Talker instead of siding it, because it's a going first card because it searches Signet Conflict, but I guess you can also search Signet Mining with it and just have a little bit more consistency. And if you win the dice roll and go first, then you have like an extra Omni Negate, so you're gonna have like freaking 7 interruptions in that deck if you go first, and you don't really need a lot of cards to pull this off, so it's really scary. Anyways, Branded, yes, another really good deck, and this might be correlated to the fact that Kashtira is actually losing a bit in play, because Despia, I think, does not really have a good Kashtira matchup, but now things are getting better and better for Despia, even though Branded Fusion is just at 1 in the OCG, so that's really nice. Now, Tear Elements is very shocking for most people, but I understand why it's here. So even though this deck is called Tear Elements, you're not really playing with Tear Elements as your starters, only as your extenders, and the way you get into your Tear Elements fusion plays would be with Chaos Ruler. This exists only in the OCG, not in the TCG, and this is the reason why nobody plays Tear Elements over here. But yeah, if Chaos Ruler was a thing, then yeah, Tear Elements would probably be, you know, still a really good deck. But yeah, definitely not the case. And then Runic, annoying ass deck. Labyrinth, Scale Drain is at 1, but that's not gonna stop them from, you know, being played. Vanquish Soul, very interesting deck. Another deck that can play with 1 card, actually, makes 3 interruptions. I have to start making combo videos in deck profile again. Yo, smash the like button so I can, you know, finally get off of retirement. Anyways, Kashtira, this deck didn't get, like, nerfed or anything, but people are just giving up on it. Unchained, very interesting. Again, this deck got new support from Duelist Nexus, so it does make sense to see Unchained being way better, and I'm gonna say this now, I wouldn't be shocked if Unchained would actually, you know, be even better in the upcoming weeks. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out on this deck, sorry. Exorcister, this is another deck that kind of got indirect support very recently with the Spirit Monster level 4, Aratama or something, or Nikitama, I forgot the name. Yeah, it's the one that extra normal summons. They all have like similar names, Aratama, Nikitama, something Tama. Lawn Mowing, Super Heavy Samurai, Vernalizer, and Emancipator. It's really shocking to see Super Heavy Samurai just so much worse than before. And in the TCG, everybody's scared of that deck. But in the OCG, I guess Exorcister is doing just just as good, which is hilarious. Who would have thought? Anyways, Adventure Synchron. Very interesting deck. I think this is the Ringo Worm 100 Apple Dragon deck. It's really cool, but I don't know if it's that good. Anyways, Altergeist, again, got new support, so it makes sense. Bestial Dragon Link. They have Chaos Angel and Bestial Dispatter, so their boss monsters are really good, but the deck itself, Salamangreat, Scareclaw, Manadome. I'm not gonna call it Manadium, whatever. It's a cool deck. It's definitely bound to become even better in the upcoming, I was gonna say in the upcoming weeks, probably in the upcoming months, because we probably need at least one core set to make it, better with the new support. Anyways, Blackwing, Dino, Flunderies, Generator, what the hell? Blondwing, Branded Shadal, whatever this is, Magician, blah, 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 I couldn't care less. Alright, cool, Purely. Alright, so what is interesting about Purely now? They have a new Xyz monster, which is a Purely Noir. It's kind of like an in-between of X Purely Noir and then the Super Baby version, which is Purely Lily. And this card is really cool because whenever you activate, I believe, a Purely Quickly spell, you can chain a Purely Noir to immediately set a Purely Trap from your deck to your field. So you can use it under Droll because you're not searching. You can obviously dodge Ash with that, which is also very interesting. And this card pretty much guarantees you like your X Purely Noir, so it's a very, very interesting card. I definitely like this new card. It's just a one-off, but, you know, it's easy to summon because you need Sleepy Memory as the reveal for it, or rather the attach for it. And Sleepy Memory is the best memory out of the four because it is the one that underneath your Xyz monster makes you draw a card, and it stacks with multiple other Sleepy Memories. So you can actually draw upwards of 6 cards on your opponent's standby phase if you have 3 Sleepy Memories as well as 1 Purely Leap. And that's a combo that people are, using in the OCG to dig into Max C, so that all of their combo matchups are always a joke. Because if they draw a bunch of hand traps and then they draw into like Nibiru or something, they never get OTK'd, and their follow-up is insane because if all their monster dies, their field spell makes them recycle back, 2 cards because they get to revive back a monster and get a search, and then their continuous spell, which is this card, My Friend Purely, makes them recycle up to 3 Purely Quickly spells with different names from the graveyard to the hand. So definitely not the kind of deck that you want to be grinding with. You want to be able to kill Purely when you go second, and going first, you have to make sure that they never go into a Zeus or an X Purely Noir, or a Purely Happy. Actually, this card's really good going second, but everything else should be kind of irrelevant, honestly. This deck actually struggles with a lot of things, like Baguska is basically impossible to out for this deck. You need to go into Sky Striker Ace Azalea. I'm gonna make a full video on that though, don't worry. Or you need to be like really skillful and draw Imperm, but you're not gonna be that good at the game. Only your opponents are going to be that good. Anyways, nothing else is that interesting. I guess Ghost Ogre. In the TCG, a lot of people are playing Ghost Ogre now, which I think is really stupid because in a format where Kashtira is still the best deck, Ghost Ogre more often than not can't even be used. Like, if you hold your Ogre for too long, your opponent is just gonna make like an Arise Heart really early and then go for Birth Effect, and then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, shit, I can't use Ogre now. Because Ogre is not like Ash. Ash actually reads, you can discard this card. Ogre is, you can send it from your face-up field or hand to the graveyard, as a cost, of course. So you cannot legally use Ogre under Shifter or Arise Heart. Same thing, I believe, with Maxi, Droll, and Veiler. So yeah, only like Ash, Bell, and some other cards can be used under, Macrocosmos and stuff like that. Actually, if you want to be not losing to hand traps, you can play stuff like Dimensional Fissure as well. It's actually hilarious. Oh yeah, I guess Imperm obviously doesn't, but, that's a spell or trap. Well, it's a trap card, but whatever, you get the point. I'm still waiting, by the way, Konami, for the first quick play spell card that can be used as a hand trap on the opponent's turn. We got one in the anime, like, 20 years ago. Well, not really, because it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, but whatever. Anyways, the extra deck, definitely nothing interesting. The side deck, I'm just shocked to see that the deck only plays hand traps now in the main deck, no board breakers. So if the opponent successfully summons the X Purely Noir, you're fucked. But it is what it is. So yeah, 4 Herald of the Abyss in the side deck, as well as 4 triple tactic talents. This is the really cool thing about triple tactic tasking, but at the same time, going first is actually pretty bad, so I would not side deck this card going first, unless you're always getting hit by like bestial monsters or something, or monsters that summon themselves, but more often than not, you're getting Maxied, Ash, Drolled, and Imperm, so this card's dog shit. Alright, Math Mech. This is the main subject of this video. Why is this deck so much better now? Alright, so first things first, this deck is so much different, from what I remember. I remember the deck used to play Subtraction as well as Addition. Now it only plays 1. The deck used to play like 2 Sigma. Now it only plays 1. And Diameter, I think people were back and forth on 2 or 3. So I guess this is not something that is super new. Yeah, no Nabla, of course. I'm really happy because Nabla sucks ass. 3 Parallax Seed, not just 2. So very interesting. A Dotscaper, and then the two, the two spirit monsters. So I believe this one is the Aratama, the one that makes you extra normal summon. And then this one searches you on summon. A lot of hand traps as well. So 4, 7, 10, 13 hand traps. 1/3 of your deck allows you to interrupt your opponent on your opponent's turn, and Small World can either get rid of your hand traps to get into your 1-card starters, or do the opposite, so you get rid of your Math Mechs to, get hand traps instead, or your Board Breaker, which is a Kaiju. So this deck has a lot of gas, a lot of ways to extend. The Spirit Monsters, the Math Mechs as extenders, Parallel Exceed, a lot of consistency cards, Silent Mining, Parallel Exceed, Small World, and I guess the Call by the Grave and Cross Out are just utility cards. They could absolutely be triple tactics instead. Only one super factorial. This deck is very minimalistic, and the reason for that is because you don't really need to, make the weird, complicated things that the deck used to do before, with, Link Devotee, Link Disciple, and then Masquerena into Appaloosa. None of that bullshit is needed anymore, because now you can actually go into the new Firewall Gender Fluid Dragon, and then send this fusion on your own turn, and then the Mirror Logic Aggregator on your opponent's turn. So you're going to have up to 5 or 6 interruptions on your opponent's turn. Okay, so just in case you didn't know, it's actually mentioned here, but you have kind of like a Trishula on your opponent's turn, which is the Laplacian. Instead of banishing a card from your opponent's hand, field, and grave, you send a card from their hand, Monster Zone and Spell and Trap Zone to the graveyard, which is very similar to Trishula anyways. You also have an Omni-Negate, as an Xyz material underneath your Laplacian, which is the Diameter, technically 4 interruptions. And then you've got a Negate with Mirror Logic Aggregator, as well as the new Fusion Monster, which is Cyberus Dizabworm or something. I don't even know the new name. Maybe they changed it, but yeah, it's this card right here. So again, no super poly or anything, because you're not even trying to summon this card. You're really just sending it from the extra deck to the graveyard. Even the side deck is really nasty with 3 Xyz on core. 3 Strike, even more hand traps, because obviously 13 is not enough. Senate Conflict, as well as Microcoder when the guy goes first. And then Link Spider, because if you get Nibiru'd, you get a token, and then you turn it into a Cyberus monster, and you can keep playing. That's just my theory. Maybe I'm stupid, and this is not what you're supposed to be using your Link Spider for. I have no idea. And then Duster for Runic and all those annoying ass decks. Runic, by the way, nobody has any side deck for that deck. It's actually ridiculous. Everybody's so scared of, purely Math Mech, freaking Despia, everything, all those top tier decks, that every side deck can't do anything against Runic. So definitely the reason why that deck is doing pretty good right now. But yeah, very interesting deck. I can't believe it's also running Baguska now. So even going second, you can summon Baguska against Purely and survive for a little while. So really nice deck as well. A really nice option here for the extra deck for the deck as well. All right, Despia now. The deck is a little more nerfed in the OCG. They only have 1 branded opening, 1 branded fusion, and 1 Lubellion, although I don't think this is relevant, because even in the TCG, you're not really trying to play 3 Lubellion in this deck. And the reason for that is because the bestial monsters are not really good over here. They're not really hitting jack shit. Whereas in the OCG, at least they can hit tier elements, because tier elements is still being played. That makes no sense, I know. Over here, everybody's playing super heavy Samurai, Purely, and Kashtira, so the format's definitely different. But one thing that will not be different will be how broken this card is going to be. Guiding Quem the Virtuous. Basically the new Ecclesia monster from Cyberstorm Access, and it's really insane. So this card can foolish a card that mentions, I think, Fallen of Albaz from your deck to the graveyard upon normal or special summon, and whenever a card leaves the extra deck, you can revive back Fallen of Albaz or a monster that mentions it from the graveyard to the field. So you can revive back Mirror Jade and stuff like that, and this card is always treated as both a Despia and Dogmatica monster, so you can summon it with branded opening. Even though it doesn't have Despia in the card name, it's always treated as that. So that's really freaking crazy. It's a really good card for sure. It's definitely gonna be changing a lot, like I said. The old Ecclesia, well, the Blazing Cartesia is also a really good card. This card was already seeing play at 2 to 3 copies in the TCG builds. But yeah, this deck, it doesn't really lose that hard to hand traps outside of Ash. Maxi, you can afford to only summon 2 monsters and you should be fine. You can pass on Mirror Jade and nothing else. It's not the end of the world. It's not really a big combo deck. This deck also never gets Nibiru'd. It's not, the Predaplant version or whatever else build used to lose to Nibiru, but yeah, this deck is pretty much more of a mid-range deck. Also, I don't think you lose to Droll in this deck. It's not the Allure of Darkness route with triple Mercourier. That build used to get demolished by Droll. You went Allure, draw 2, and then banish, and then try to use the effect, and then you go with Droll. and you have like your freaking Aluber and stuff like that, you can't even get to your Branded Fusion, so you end up doing nothing. But yeah, very good deck, definitely. And this guy lost all 4 of his dice rolls against Purely and still won all 4 of his matches. And he didn't draw into Xyz on course, so he was just stopping them with hand traps. And if your opponent doesn't go into Expurely Noir, you're pretty much always gonna win because this deck has better resource management. The monsters are just better. You know, you can also burn your opponent with the Masquerade. So one thing that is really funny, I think Masquerade is actually like a better end board than, you know, a negate against decks like Purely, because they have to go through so many effects to do like honestly nothing. It's honestly really sad. They gotta go like effect of a quick play, and then, you know, discard something, summon a monster, effect of that monster, and then get a card, and then effect of that monster again to like Xyz summon, and then activate another spell, and then chain that monster to like do something again. So it's already like 5,000 life points that you're spending just to like try to out one monster. That's it. It's honestly really pathetic. But yeah, I could actually imagine this deck being like top tier in the TCG for sure. I definitely think it will be. Tier Elements, on the other hand, I don't think is going to be really good in the TCG. Because it's not getting anything new, and they're using cards that we don't have, like Chaos Ruler. We do have Ancient Fairy Dragon. It's not gonna be the same, because they're using Ancient Fairy Dragon to search, like, Secret Village when you already have, like, Wind access, but yeah, good luck getting there. The deck is super inconsistent here. You can do all of that, by the way. Everything that they're doing, you can pretty much do that. It's just gonna be extremely inconsistent. I believe we have the same hits as them for the main deck monsters, outside of the fact that we have triple Reinoheart, and we obviously don't have any Kid Kalos, but everything else should be the same. I guess we have like triple Fenrir still. That's actually a really bad thing, if anything, because Tier Elements now at the moment has a really bad Kashtira matchup. And it's really funny to see Foolish Goods at 2, because I think even if it were a 3, people would still not play 3. It literally changes nothing, but yeah, you can go Foolish Goods, send the Trivi Karma or whatever the name is, and banish it to search your planet Perlarino, and then get to search your Tier Elements monsters that way. So Foolish Goods can literally search anything, or you can just send Solek and then search your monsters there. Or you can send that and then search the Scream, whatever. You can do whatever you want. A lot of searchability, and if you can actually send the cards from the deck to the grave, usually you can get to play the game. And you still have 2 Millers in the deck, so you still have Kelbeck as well as a Guido. Mudora is not seeing play. That is very interesting, and I know the card's not banned. It is the worst out of the 4. Alright, Runic, I'm not gonna spend too much time here, but they are playing a new Floodgate, which is Tyrant's Tirade. We saw a very similar card as a Tyrant's Tirade in the Ignite deck back in the days, and that was like Tyrant Throws. So you would be tributing, I think, like 2 normal monsters, and then your opponent could not summon a monster, something ridiculous like that. But Tyrant's Tirade is a little less good, but it's still really good. So you tribute 2 monsters, and then your opponent cannot activate the effect of monsters in the hand or field. I think it's actually 2-sided, but I mean, it doesn't matter because you're not summoning anything. You're just decking out your opponent with Runic. So it's a really filthy and disgusting deck. Not fun, of course, but if you go first with Runic and you don't get hit by something like Duster, or you can summon like the Hugin to protect yourself from Duster, I really don't see a world in which you lose. So yeah, this deck is extremely enraging to play against, like deadass. And another thing that makes Runic really good is the fact that everybody has to respect the other decks. So people are not respecting Runic, not, by choice, but because they have to have the side deck to beat the other decks. So Runic is just getting like a freebie there, benefiting off of the collateral damage of the other individuals. I hope this deck dies, honestly. It's complete cancer. Fuck Runic. Side deck, 3 Ghost Reaper, because you can literally afford like 7 freaking targets in that deck. So yeah, Baguska. Of course, Amano Iwato. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Might as well play a Zeus at this point. The new level 9 monster, which is also very funny. You can actually summon 2 monsters now on the field, because this kind of has like a Farfa effect on yourself and on opponent's monster. You can also break boards with this card, so if your opponent has like an Omni Negate, you can bait it and then activate whatever else you need. And then the Link 1 Super Heavy Samurai, which is very interesting to see that it is the Reaper target. And Expurely Noir, of course. Only 1 Xyz on core, very interesting. A lot of sketchy-ass one-offs, but it is what it is. But yeah, in conclusion, Purely still the best deck, but not by a long shot, because Mathmech is now pretty much the same thing. And, of course, Dueling Nexus is really good, and supported a lot of decks that used to be dog shit before, but now we never know. They might actually become way better. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say and showcase for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.